This is going to be fun.
I know. And I'm glad. I'm also so excited. So I think that from a geographical perspective, I think you're the furthest person that I've chatted with.
The only person you've chatted with at like 11 p.m. at night.
And also the great location where you're at, Nina. So thank you, thank you.
Your only guest living in an overwater villa.
Oh my goodness. Well, first of all, thank you so much for taking the time. I know that it's so late on your end to do this conversation. We're so happy you're here. So why don't we kick it off and why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So my name is Nina, and I am currently a marketing consultant at the Waldorf Astoria in the Maldives. So I'm working on strategic storytelling initiatives for the property, and putting together strategies for their spa, and also F&B and other things on property. So, and before that, I was at Hilton's corporate office in Virginia in McLean, and I was doing strategic partnerships and brand marketing for the luxury brands for Waldorf Astoria, Conrad, and Canopy. And I was also doing content for them, the brand magazines, working with Amex. So a lot of other things. And before that, I was at Bauble Bar, the jewelry company, pretty much from when it started. And before that, I was an entrepreneur. Usually this story is told much more directly, but after 11 p.m. at night, I start to be frustrated.
That's okay, Nina. That's okay. And again, I can't express enough how much we appreciate you being here. Despite it's right. It's only 20 minutes. It'll go by really fast. So, Nina, from your perspective, I'm sorry?
I'm always on late night calls now. It's the only time I can talk to people in the U.S. So this is a gift for me.
Oh, well, we're glad you're here. So from your experience, Nina, how would you define an exceptional experience, specifically when you think about the luxury space?
I think that this, like one of the storytelling projects I'm working on here on the property is a really great example. So this is amazing Waldorf Astoria Maldives. It's beautiful. It's brand new. Some of the largest overwater villas in the Maldives. Like it has a sense of space. Everything is impeccable. And guests notice that. But what I'm working on is creating a story that has a feeling that goes along with this luxury product so that you're not just talking about how beautiful it was or, like how it was the best food because there's more restaurants here than any other resort in the Maldives, but that you have this like magical feeling that you walk away with. So essentially what I'm doing is building deeper relationships with guests by putting a story behind this property. And I think that's really what's key is for there to be an emotional connection either with your customers or your guests so they remember like how they felt in the moment that they experienced your product. And so it was the same thing, when I did the Waldorf Astoria partnership with Aston Martin, we did glamping in the 24 hours of Le Mans. It was like, how do we bring Waldorf Astoria to life off property? And the same thing, like how do we create that feeling, that sense of space, even if we're not on the property? And I think that's what's most important, the feeling that you get.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And what brands, Nina, do you think are doing it right, not only from a storytelling perspective, but also from customer engagement?
Oh my gosh, that's such a good question. Can I not plug Waldorf Astoria here?
Yes, yes, plug away.
I think that, even the fact that they brought me here to work on this shows how much they understand, like, how bringing these stories to life and building that deeper emotional connection with guests is so important. So I would definitely credit them. And I have to say that living in the Maldives right now, I feel like I'm living in a bit of a bubble from like the real world, so to speak. So I honestly, in this moment in time, this late at night, cannot come up with another good example for you.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I'm thinking, I'm going not only from a hotel perspective, right, but I'm thinking about like luxury goods, and I'm thinking about, like the Louis Vuittons or, the Porsches. And I think that storytelling is just so key to get people through the door, right? But when you leave that place and how you feel, I think is really, really, it's critical. So I know.
Yeah,
I
think Louis a good example. I believe in Miami that they were doing these pop-up shops, both like in trucks and also I think in yachts, like just, riding up to people's canals. And that's actually, I think, a really great example of like innovation and bringing something to life where you keep that like a very close guard on the feeling of the brand. So it's still in line with the brand, but it's something that's new and different and in response to what the world is facing right now.
Right. And you're doing this storytelling project there. What is the day like now for you on this project?
So it started where I was developing like multiple stories and then going through approval processes of like, ownership and corporate and everyone. But it was literally like me going around the island and trying to come up with ideas. A typical day, I do a lot of writing. So in the strategies I'm writing, like a lot of positioning work, and like really getting creative, but also then thinking about how we're going to implement, every aspect of it to make sure that we're getting coverage and PR and that we're being really thoughtful about the content that we create on the website to go along with it and how we work with influencers. There is an office here, so it's not always so glamorous, but I also sit outside a lot to be inspired by the place where I am. And honestly, I do my best writing when I'm sitting outside on this property because it's hard not to be creative when you're surrounded by such beauty.
Wow, I'm just like, how do I get there? Because I want to go there post-COVID.
Yeah. So, like, the crazy thing is it's one of the safest places to travel right now. When I arrived, all staff has to quarantine. So I quarantined for 10 days when I arrived. We still like mask up, especially like in guest areas. I'm always wearing a mask. In the staff area, it's almost like life is normal because everyone has quarantined. Everyone's already gotten like their first round of vaccines here. So in terms of like safe travel, also because there's 119 villas and most guests come and spend all their time in the villas. So it's not like there's an area on property that's like totally busy where you're like interacting with a lot of other people. So like it's one of the best places to be socially distanced because you're just not around people a lot. So I would highly suggest coming, especially once you're vaccinated. I flew through Dubai. It's actually not that far. I don't, if honestly being on this island for 2 months, I feel like, it's been 2 years.
Nina, I have to ask you, you flew through Dubai. How long was that flight?
I think it was 8 hours to Dubai or 12 hours to Dubai and then another 4 hours. Honestly, it feels like it was 2 years ago. Like I can't. Island, no other experience I've had in my entire life. It's one of the most intense work experiences because I work 6 days a week. So there's only one day off and you are both working and living with the same people. So usually you work and then you leave and you have your personal life and you separate all of that. Well, on an island, that is not the case. So it's like a reality show. It's really interesting. Very intense.
And Nina, how did you get this opportunity?
Because I was at the corporate office and I was working on luxury, they needed someone on this property, and someone in the corporate office in Singapore talked to someone in the corporate office in the United States, and that person was like, I know the right person for this. I would say I think so many jobs come through networking, like they're not posted. And it's, making sure that you're talking to the right people at the right time so that when these opportunities pop up, you're the one that they think of. Like, they know your work product and they know your character. And so they're going to suggest you for these types of roles. And then obviously you have to prove yourself. But, for the year of 2020, I generally think that is very important, but also when I wasn't working in 2020, I was making a point to meet new people every single day. I set goals for myself of how many people I wanted to meet each week. And so even just that, it's just part of who I am and what I believe is important, which is why I always say yes to conversations like this, because I love meeting new people. And you never know what's going to come out of a conversation. So for me, what came out of a conversation and in work relationships is being in the Maldives, and other jobs too. I mean, even when I ended up at Bobble Bar, the job, I don't think at that time the job was posted. I was introduced to the head of social media, who introduced me to the founders of Bobble Bar. It was when there were, 4 or 5 people there. And that's how I got my start there too. Usually if I can get my foot in the door, I can prove my case.
Yeah, I love that. And I also love setting goals for yourself on how many people you want to meet a week. I think that's a really good tip, because there's so many people that are in, transition right now, or trying to figure out, what to do next. So that's actually a good tip there. Thank you for that. So Nina, you spend time outside so that you can get your creative juices flowing. You want to, create this magical feeling. So what makes a good story?
I think it's the emotional connection. So sometimes today, for example, I was taking the story that I wrote that's now been approved, adapting it for the sales presentation. Or I worked with every team on property for how does this story come to life? And you can tell when you've hit the nail on the head when people are like, ooh, yes. So I was writing different headlines, and one of the headlines that I wrote, people were like, oh my God, yes, that one, because I need to know more about it. And so usually when people are passionate and when you can see their eyes light up. So I've been going around to every team and telling them the story and showing them images to go along with it. And I can see their eyes light up. I can see that they get it. When I first tell them the idea, they're like, and then once I go into it, they're like, oh my God, yes, I totally get it. This is magical. Guests are going to love this. It's going to be so great. So I think you can see when you're getting the reaction that you want. And sometimes I'll sit there writing I will hit a wall and I'll need to go sit somewhere else. And all of a sudden, what took me 5 hours to try to get out, in 10 minutes, done. Just because it's the right time of day, or I'm feeling creative, and it's all of a sudden, it comes out. So I think one of the things that I've my past roles is the opportunity to be so creative. When I was at Hilton Corporate, things that I'm doing, we would pass off to agencies, to creative agencies. So to have the opportunity to write all of this on my own from start to finish, because I was a journalism major in college, and after college, Jerusalem Post for a little while. And so this is and even just working on the brand magazines for Waldorf and for Conrad, that was a dream for me. And now being able to actually be the writer and be the one to take these ideas and write them in a way that people are like, ooh, yes, I get it. I want to be a part of it is a dream. I feel incredibly lucky to be doing what I'm doing here.
Yeah, well, it sounds amazing, Nina, and congratulations. I know I read your bio, I did research on you. You have an incredible career, so congratulations to date. And based on everything that you've done, what would be the 3 career insights that you would share with our audience today?
Networking is number one. The power of your network is so, so important. Like I said, almost every role that I've had later in my career has been because of networking. And people saying, like, thinking of me when a role comes up. It's not necessarily posted. So I would definitely say network number one, and don't get lazy about networking, even if you're happy in your job, because you never know what's going to happen. You know, like working in hospitality, when I left retail, when I left Bottle Bar for hospitality was the safest industry you could possibly be in. And then COVID happened. Like, so you never know. Never let that die. The second thing I would say is to continue to challenge yourself. So if you're in a role and you're not feeling challenged, maybe leave the role or just figure out how else you can be challenged. Like, I think often because at Bobble Bar, like, I hired a lot of people either straight out of college or with a few years of experience, because I built out the customer experience team, and I also did partnerships and influencer marketing. And oftentimes after a year, people would feel like they've learned everything, and that is wrong. That is completely wrong. After a year is when you can actually start doing interesting things, because you know enough really solid decisions, and you can then make an impact. And so I would say, like, don't leave jobs after a year, because that's when, like, the magic can really happen. So try to stick it out, and don't wait for your bosses to challenge you. Find ways to challenge yourself. Like, find those ideas that you can work on, the passion projects, the things that are going to help the business, but also that are going to challenge you. So that would be my second piece of advice. And my third piece of advice would probably be what's the third one? Oh, I don't have a third one right now. Those two were...
Okay.
Oh, actually, I do have a third one.
Okay.
I personally think it's important to really love what you do, and to try to not settle because society is telling you that you need to settle. Even in 2020, like, I knew I needed to take time off, and I worked on the elections, and I moved to Georgia and, like, got to work there on the elections, and, like, started a few side businesses. And, you know, people said to me, like, just find a job, like, just find anything, or find something that's good enough because it's COVID. And I said, I want to take time off. I don't need to find a job right now, but also I don't really want to settle. That's not for me. So don't listen to what other people tell you. Trust your gut. If you think that there is something out there for you that's right, that you're going to be passionate about, wait for it if you can wait for it, which actually is probably my biggest piece of advice. When you start your career, save money. Like, from day one, live beneath your means and save money so that you can make decisions based on what you're passionate about and what's true to you and your ethos and where your values lie, instead of being forced into a decision because you haven't saved money and you need to immediately jump to something. So, I mean, from day one, like, living in an apartment on the upper west side of Manhattan, and like, really being thoughtful about saving money in New York, in a city that's really hard to do it, I think is, like, if you can do it there, you can do it anywhere. So if you want to be able to make decisions in life, not because of fear of not having a job, but just because of what you love doing, make sure you save money so that you can.
Yeah, that's great. That's another. I wish somebody would have told a younger me that when I started working, you know. Oh my goodness, this has been amazing, Nina. Thank you so much for your time. I know it's really late there, but I want to share with you and with the audience. So, and you'll appreciate this. I love surprise and delights, right? So over the weekend, I got a little package, and it was a surprise and delight from DigiCards. So there are these great cards that you can use during Zoom meetings. So I wanted to give you a big heart because this has been amazing. And I know that you're up super late to be here with us. So thank you for your time. Thank you, everyone, for watching. We appreciate it. And Nina, we'll enjoy the rest of your time on the island, and I'm sorry.
Definitely come visit the Maldives. Come to the Waldorf Astoria. You'll love it. I promise.
Yes. Well, that is on my list. So, and we'll see you on the other side when you come back to the U.S. Thank you again. Thank you, everyone, for watching. And we'll see everyone here on Thursday for our next lunchtime conversation. Thanks, Nina.
Bye.